Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's morning. I want to do it just like Timochin, and I already biffed it up. I'm going to go again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser. I am not Timochin, as you can see. He is apparently, I thought that he would be trying to sleep, but he is up. Of course, our dear Dark Overlord is up, making sure everything is going as scheduled. Kazi, I'm joined with you on a Monday, so this is quite the interesting setup for many of our Monday viewers. How are you?
Yeah, we have not got our Emperor Palpatine with us today, so I've had to fill in and play the. Well, when you like to say I'm playing devil's advocate here, I'm probably going to be that guy, aren't you? So
I thought I would take up the role, but if you want to take it, that's absolutely fine with
I
me.
mean, yeah, we got the same haircut, haven't we? So we're going to go from there.
We'll fight it out. Alan also joining us this morning. Good morning, Alan. So yeah, we thought we might have something new and interesting to talk about on the transfer realm, but I guess there is a tweet from Mr. Paul Joyce talking about Real Sociedad and telling Martin Zubimendi that he must pay the 51 million pound release clause or the 51 million euro release clause that is in his contract. Now I understand that La Liga structure is a bit different. Technically, the player has to pay it, but the club pays the player to then pay the release clause. So if we look at this kind of on the outside, right, you have a player playing for his boyhood club, or we can compare it to Trent, right? He
Hmm.
started there at a youth. He's 25 years old now. He's turned down many teams. He's turned down Barcelona in the past. He's turned down Arsenal. He's turned down Man United. And now, when he is ready for a move, it looks like Real Sociedad might be painting him in this light to try and make it look like they did everything they could. Are you buying that, or do you think there is something that is coming from Zubi's side that you're not a fan of?
To be honest, fucking hell, I see all sides. I think there's mistakes on all sides. I think the Zubimendi thing this morning of like the player paying the release clause, that's standard. By the sounds of it across the board, we just pay the player and the player plays the release clause. They are trying to paint him off like, oh, we're like he kind of forced to move out, which is unfortunate for him, but that's life, unfortunately. And your boyhood club, as we will know, or clubs that the club that you love will get over it. In terms of we got over Luis Suarez and Torres and Mascherano leaving, and Torres comes back, and then when Torres left, it was feral. It was feral. So these kind of things happen, and over time, things do change. And but I also think on Liverpool's side, it's didn't they get a feeling for this before all this happened? Like what was going to happen and what where the player's head was. Maybe the player went, listen, I want to join you and stuff like that. So Liverpool could have been saying, well, there's the money straight away and let's get this moving kind of thing. I think Liverpool have kind of given the kid too much respect a little bit of like give him a bit too much leeway. The rumor is now they set a deadline till Wednesday to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is admirable for him to even get to Wednesday. To be honest, I would have said you got an hour, but that's you know what I mean. Like we're 3 weeks away. You've got your captain of your football club saying we're making some fucking signings here. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Which we'll get to. I don't. I just think this has been poorly managed on all sides, to be honest. And I think for Liverpool's sake as well. And this isn't me having a dig. I think everyone knew as a Liverpool fan that Liverpool needed a number six. This isn't a thing of like, well, oh, we needed the manager to have a look at them. No, Liverpool needed the number six last year. You still
Yeah.
need the number six now. You could have went to Arne Slot and went, listen, fella, you can have a look at all these lads, but you still need the number six. So this is the one that we want. And now you've left it 3 weeks to go in the window. And if this kid does turn you down in the next few days and says you can't leave, and then you're back to square one of your captain saying that we're going to sign some players, and then your main target turn you down. So I just feel like this is all a bit of a mess, really, right now. And I hope it gets moved forward in the next couple of days. Where are
Yep.
you at with it? Where
Because
are you
it
at with it?
feels like every step of the way you mentioned the deadline, right? We were told that
Mhm.
he had a week to think about it. Then we were told that he had the weekend to think about it, and then now it's
Yeah,
after the weekend. Now we're told that he has till Wednesday to think about it. And I understand that the kind of decision doesn't come lightly, right? You're moving away from everything that you know into a foreign country that you're not familiar with. I mean, you might know the language, right? But it's going to be a new experience, new everything for you.
of
So I
course.
understand there's some hesitation there. But I also understand that, if you're a competitor like he is, and you just came off winning the Euros, you're not going to win anything in Sociedad, right? So
No.
your chance to win something is to go somewhere else. And if you already turned down Barcelona, you might not get that chance again. It depends on what their club looks like in a few years. But if a club like Liverpool, with the position that they're in, with what they have, I think overall, I would have to just agree that it's been a mess. But in a way, I think we've been spoiled by such usual simple transfer business that something like this is a bit more of a shock and it is a bit more annoying because we're just not used to it. Typically, you'll see other clubs like United potentially, that have a messier transfer window just because they can't keep anything private. Everything's always leaked out in the open. So I think it's just a little bit weird to see this because we haven't been seeing this kind of thing. Timothy saying just pay the goddamn money. 50 is not a lot, and if the dude does want to come over, it is great value. And I think we've seen the kind of amounts that players have been looking for in these last couple of transfer windows, and 50 million for a guy that seems like a bargain. No,
I agree. I think for the right profile and the age, I think it's a great price. And this is why with Liverpool's case, you're like, he has a buyout clause. Okay, you want to negotiate the buyout clause, but eventually, like you got done last year on Szoboszlai when the club just went, no, that's the buyout clause. You got to just fucking pay it up front. I know you're trying to negotiate 5-year payments and stuff. By the way, which is completely standard across the board for every transfer, that you don't pay transfer fees up front. Football clubs don't have that kind of money lying around. You do pay them over a 5-10 year stint. But the issue is that when you have a buyout clause, that's the price. You have to pay it up front to get the player out the club. That's what they did to us last year with Szoboszlai. They just went, it expires on July the 31st, pay it or fuck off. And then we'll just negotiate, you know what I mean? And Liverpool paid it. And Liverpool had to do what they had to do. It's the same situation here, I think, where £51 million, by the way, you were correctly for 60 million euros. If you want this player and he's your number 6, unfortunately, you just got to do what you have to do, don't you? I keep saying this, and I've said it on previous podcasts. There's only so long you can be the smartest man in the room where you get found out. There's only so long you can get away with Sadio Mane's and Salah's for 30 million quid. You know what I mean? There's only so long that can happen where you go, when Liverpool come calling for the player, well, we're going to get maximum value because we think you see something in him, and he turns into a £100 million player. So the Zubimendi thing is like, that's the price. Pay it, Liverpool. If that's what you want, and he's the player that you want. This conflict of interest with Zubimendi's got, completely understand, and you were correct, he's moving to a different country, and I understand all those. Didn't you have a chat with him about all this? I'm sure you did. And I'm sure these mates have went, well, fucking hell, I'm having cold feet about it. If he doesn't want to sign for Liverpool, and again, you said Barcelona, those clubs come up all the time. They do. Whether we like it or not, they come up all the time for these players, right? They're always available. Liverpool doesn't come up all the time. Liverpool are very tight business on what they do. Liverpool don't go out to sign 7 players a transfer window. I can't remember the last time we signed more than 5 in a transfer window. So it's a very rare opportunity and a unique opportunity to join Liverpool. He has to make a decision. He has to do it sharp. But I also think this is a learning curve for probably Richard Hughes. It's probably a learning curve as well, which would be good for him. By the way, to say, I can't really just to play his word anymore, or like whatever, that kind of thing of like, you know what? Here's the release clause, here's the money. You said you were coming, are you coming or not? Right. You know what I mean? You can't let this drag on anymore. Especially with the Virgil comments as well. I just think it's just been a shit show. I really do.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Verge comments here. Ryan joining us this morning. Hey, boys, good morning. Kind of weird without Timothy, but Kazi is one of my favorites.
Thanks, pal.
And I'm just going to go get fucked. Ryan, I feel blessed compared to Chelsea, and we should pay for him. Also, Timothy should be sleeping. He probably should be sleeping. I think he got a few hours. I don't think he wanted to miss what potentially could have been one of the best morning shows that we'd ever had on this show. So I understand that he'd want to come up.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Yeah.
And speaking of the sleeping, this is exactly what we're referring to. The 24-hour podathon that ended yesterday at 12 p.m. Central. We had the boys, we had Gally, Bickler, and Timothy all put in a good 24-hour shift to raise a ton of money. And right now, we're just at over $2,000 when you combine the GoFundMe and you combine the auction as well. So thank you, everyone who was part of it. Thank you, everyone who commented, liked, who was on the show. I know you made a couple appearances yourself as well. I was out traveling the South, if you will. Nashville probably is considered South to some, maybe not South to all. You know, if you're in Florida, it's not as South, but if you're in Chicago, it definitely is more south. Sparky joining us, afternoon boys, and Prince is also one of my favorites, but I see you every Monday. That's understandable. I was just kidding. I know I can take a joke. It's fine. I'm fine. Speaking of which, Kazi, have you ever been to Nashville?
I have not been to Nashville, Tennessee. No. Why? What is Nashville like?
I'm trying to get a good feel on the overall perception of Nashville, because I was always told these amazing, wonderful things about Nashville, and I'm gonna be honest, I left a little underwhelmed, and I don't know if it was the actual downtown area. I think was one of the worst experiences I've had. It was just so overly stimulating, and it was just annoyingly loud. I think I don't know if you're a fan of the country music and you're a fan of that scene, then I think it's perfect, because everything outside of downtown Nashville is beautiful. It was wonderful. So I don't know. So that's why I wanted to know if you had been there, because I'm just trying to get a pulse on maybe I did all the wrong things.
I mean, how old are you now? Can you say? Our Polish prince?
Yeah, I'm going to be 32 in November.
You see, I'm 32. I know I look like 46, but I am 32. And I do think like I'm getting to the stage of like, this is just all a bit too much for me. I feel old at these places now. You know what I mean? That's where Vegas is a fine balance, because everyone goes to Vegas and I feel like, oh, there's people like the same age as me. But when like sometimes like you go into a bar and stuff and go, I am 7 years older than most people in here now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I look 20 years older than most people in here. But you know what I mean? So it's maybe you're at that stage of life where you're like, you know what? Maybe I just need to go to Vermont or something and camp. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Because we every night of this trip, we were in bed by like 10:30, 11 at the latest. They're like, this is it. We can't do it anymore.
Bro, genuinely, me and the wife, because we got a kid and we got another one on the way. It's like anytime we go away, we are in bed for 9 a.m. Like we are day drinkers before she's pregnant, of course. we are day drinkers. We are in bed at 9 o'clock, and I need my 9 hours. I'm not rolling in at 4 a.m. anymore.
If you can get everything started by 9, I mean, it leads to a very long, nice day. So I'm not going to say anything against that. Leave Nashville alone. You know, maybe this is it. Maybe I just didn't have enough. I try to do enough research, if you will. I think Reddit is a really great tool. If you've never been somewhere, if you hop on, if you go to Google and just type in blank, insert city name, things to do, Reddit, there are a lot of people on that website that potentially live there that give you a lot of good recommendations. And then we tried to do that as much as we could. You just inherently, you know, you're going to find things that you like and find things that you don't. Not everyone likes the same things, right? You can't expect to have the same experience as everyone else. And maybe it is just easier to feel more comfortable at home. Kind of going back to Zubamendi in a way where you're familiar with what you're familiar with, and anything else, it's a bit different. You don't like it as much. But Kim Mitchin saying here, you might have talked to the player who's now getting cold feet, not easy to leave your boyhood club, especially when the club is trying to save face and giving the look that he's forcing you out. And they might even be burning that bridge entirely between them and Zubamendi, right? I mean, if there's anything that you would want in the future, potentially, if there's any role that you might have for the kid, you lose that, don't you?
I mean, that's on the club side. The club are acting like that.
Yeah.
The club don't need to do that. The club can let him go like a hero, and if you wanted to. But that's how the club want to behave. That's how they want to behave. But there's also a part, if you don't want to play for Liverpool, fella, no problem. There's fucking thousands of other players who want to play for Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is why, again, Liverpool, I've set this deadline to Wednesday, and again, I think that's fucking generous. I really do think it's generous. And if you don't want to come, mate, we've got to move on. We've got other things to do. If you want to stay there, no problem. There's also a part of the way the club are now painting you that you might walk out on the first game of the season and your own club, your own fans are booing it because they look like you don't want to be here anyway. So there's also that perception of things now because that's how the club are painting it. So again, I just think there's been mistakes on all sides here. If Liverpool wanted the player, and this is why I was so surprised when it was like announced like last week or 10 days ago that we were in for him. That when Joyce tweeted about it saying like, oh, like interested, I was like, oh, this will be done in 24 hours. Because that's what Liverpool do. They say we're interested and he's done within 24 hours. When Liverpool say he's interested, he's doing a medical. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like he's there.
He's already doing the lean.
He's literally done the lean. He's holding the shirt, done the lean. When our guys in the know find out that we're interested in a player. So that's why I was so surprised that this has taken so long. But again, if he's getting cold feet, no problem. He can have his little thing and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like that Liverpool have some issues happening in the next 3 weeks. This will be a nice little cherry to get over the line first. If you can get it done if you get it done by Ipswich, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I just think, never mind the players, by the way, and I'll get to the Virgil quotes you keep mentioning them, but even the fans, it's like the fans are boosted. We're all boosted. Do you know what I mean? You'll all come in and go, fucking hell, yes, new player, and that's where the excitement comes again. Do you know what I mean, mate? And I just feel like now, I don't know about you, I don't know how you're feeling, but I think like the fans are a bit of a low ebb right now. Not about the team, because we're seeing all these great things on the pitch, but about the back, with the Virgil comments going along with that, I just feel a bit, fucking hell, like, let's get a move on here, you know what I mean?
Just a bit disheartening, if you will. Like, just something that's missing. It feels like there's always another something that we want to get that we just aren't getting. And so, speaking of the Virgil comments, let's get into that here. Let's put that up here. This is just a quote from a little clip here. And positive, obviously, I think that we should make some signings based on how long the season will go. I think they're working hard behind the scenes. Now, how hard are they working on these contract extensions? We don't know. So, if your first initial reactions to these to the Verge quotes, what were you thinking?
I mean, he's a football player who understands his role in the team. Let me tell you that. Like, because he's one of the ones who you go, okay, you're one of the ones who could speak out, like maybe a Robertson and stuff like that, and Allison. Like, they're the ones who can speak out about this. When you're saying working hard on the contract extensions, well, they haven't offered Virgil one, because he said it yesterday. They haven't offered me a contract extension. But then also, he said in the same breath, but I also want to see what the club do. And this comes down to Trent and Salah, and I think it's the same conversation. Well, what's your plans in the next 3 years? Especially for Trent, what's your plans in the next 5 years? Because I don't see any movement in terms of the team and the players coming in, and are we going to challenge right now? And I think it all comes down to that. It also confirms your suspicions of, like, players talk, Players talk between each other and go, he's crap him, or that Endo's finished. He might be a lovely guy, but he's finished. You know what I mean? And it could be, a lot of that. They might have like Fabio Carvalho, and they go, we can do a job for us this season, and then he's out the door. You know what I mean? Like, this, players talk to each other.
Yeah.
Virgil understands his role in the team, and he's coming out and he's basically calling it on, going, well, I want to see what's happening with the footy club before I commit another couple of years to the team. I think we all agree that you give him a new contract. I think most Liverpool fans are on that wavelength, especially 2-year extension. I think everyone would be fine with that, to get him committed for basically the best part of his career. But he wants to see what's happening, and by the way, he has every right to. And he's earned every right to say, well, I want to sign, but what's going on? You haven't offered me a contract yet, but also I'm probably don't even want to entertain the chat until we get a couple of players in here. You know what I mean?
He doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, right? I mean, that's the thing. At his age, he wants to win now, or get him somewhere that he can win. And like you're saying, he has every right to. He's won everything with the club, so it's a frustrating situation, because you know that if you can just lock down a couple pieces, the confidence maybe in the locker room, because these players they're not dumb, like you said, they talk to each other. They have cell phones, they have the internet, they can see what's going on around the world, they can see everything that people are saying, and so being able to have that little bit more confidence, and it's not necessarily like a huge thing to have those conversations, but the huge thing is not having those conversations and kind of having that out in the ether of, we're not sure exactly what direction we're going. And if we're not sure what direction they're going, then it doesn't feel like the club know what direction they're going. And that bleeds into the locker room. And, you're hoping that with brand new coaching staff, that some of these things might get, you might pepper over some of these cracks, but it doesn't always work that way. So yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like maybe the domino is Zubimendi, and whether he says yes or no, ultimately, then everything else will fall into place. But will it be too late? I don't know.
That's the concern as well. You get to the stage here, though, where, again, you got 2 weeks to go. Zubimendi might come in and they might go, Fennell, great signing, bits and bobs, we're doing something, you know what I mean? And I've read biographies of former Liverpool players, mate, and they're writing new players after the first training session. So let's not this thing of like, we respect everyone at the club and we get along so well and we respect everyone's ability. I've seen literally autobiographies by Carragher and Gerrard where they're writing players off after one training session. A brand new £20 million signing, just fizz the ball into him and go, no. You know what I mean? So they do talk. Do you understand that? Like, again, with the Endo situation and stuff like that. This is not news that Liverpool needed a number 6. And that's why the frustration happens. And if you're Virgil, again, you've earned the respect. You've got the respect enough. You're the captain of the football club to go, what the fuck is the plan here? What is going on? Because right now, he seems a bit lost. Clearly by his comments, he seems a bit lost. I watched the interview, that little picture there that you just shown, that it's actually a clip. He looks disheartened. He looks a bit, I don't know. What's going on? I have no idea. It's not like he's coming out and going, yeah, I spoke to the club and this is happening, or, I feel really encouraged with what's going on. I just feel like now, we're getting to the stage where you are going to start, the clubs are still going to start looking to Virgil going, fancy coming to Madrid for 2 years. He's going to go, you know what? Be arsed with this. Do you know what I mean? I can't be arsed with it. Because you get to that stage, I can't be bothered with this. I can't be bothered with fucking, again, Mo Salah with the Saudi Arabia thing, that's always going to be in the background. And you got Jude Bellingham telling fucking sense how unbelievable fucking Real Madrid is, and Carvajal's finished and he can't fucking run anymore. And that kind of stuff can happen. Do you know what I mean? In 12 months, fella, they're not doing Carvajal's contract because that's how they talk. This is what they do. Like we're doing the same thing, and football players do the same thing. So I don't know, man. Are you concerned? Are you worried by these comments?
Yeah, you want your captain to, every time he is in front of microphones, you want him to exude some sort of confidence, some sort of feeling of everything is okay. And like you're saying, seeing him, how he's talking about the situation, seeing what he's saying, it doesn't give me that confidence, right? And so it's a lot easier to read what someone said without seeing how they said it and take it a certain way. But when you actually visually see someone say something, that then that changes how you look at it entirely. And kind of what you're saying is that it's difficult to have that kind of confidence if we're not inspired by what he's saying. And Saidu's saying we're always a laughing stock in every transfer window. Why Wednesday can't we tempt him and start talking to Plan B? I wouldn't necessarily say we're laughing stock in every transfer window. I think when we sold Coutinho, we were not a laughing stock. You can say that was probably some of the best bit of business.
Yeah.
I
don't think laughing stock's the right word. I think it's more we're too cautious at times. I just think we're too cautious. We overly do our homework, and eventually you will find faults in people because people are human beings, and there's always a fault in a footballer because there's no perfect footballer out there. I think we all agree with that. There's no one perfect. So there's a part where you got to go. You just got to take the plunge sometimes and go, fuck it, we'll just do it. Do you know what I mean? He's got all these other attributes. Okay, there's a couple of little negatives, but we just got to go for it. And I think Liverpool sometimes can be caught up with being too cautious.
I think you had mentioned, maybe this was last week or sometime, or there's some joke running around about finding something that the player did at his school when he was 8-9 years old that was no longer able to be Liverpool worthy. So Ryan saying, I'm assuming we'll get a signing that none of us saw coming based on Edwards and his past, but we can, surely. I mean, at this point in the window, we have to, but that's not necessarily a good thing. We've had some deals done at the very end of the window before that. Most of them they don't work out because it's always a sign just for the sake of signing and not signing someone that you're actually interested in. And if you're really interested in someone, you really feel like this type of profile at 25 years old. We're using Zubamendi as an example here. This guy could be in your midfield for 5, 6, 7 years easily. If you don't think that paying $51 million is worth it, then why are you wasting your time in the first place?
I think it's worth it. I think it's like, I think the club think it's worth it. But again, you get into the stage of like, hey lads, we start Saturday,
Yeah.
Like we start the season Saturday. If you draw 1-1 with Ipswich and we haven't got a fucking signing, then you will see something then. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see something then. I said this, we did the prediction show after the Seville game, and I mentioned there was a joke once. Imagine we lost 3-0. Everyone thought us winning the league. Imagine we lost 3-0. The prediction to be a lot different than Liverpool winning the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, again, football fans are fickle. We always are, and that's a part of the process here. If he is the man, pay the money. And again, if he doesn't want to come to Liverpool, no problem. It's fine. If you want to stay at your boy old club and you do your thing, no problem at all. Stop wasting your time here. But again, this comes back to a bigger chat here, mate. And this is what we need to have here, the Prince, is that Liverpool knew you needed a number 6 last year. You bid 110 million on a footballer.
The money was there.
This number 6. Sorry.
The money was there. Yeah.
The money supposedly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The money was there because you bid it. You bid it, so you had some kind of money. So this is what I'm saying. You knew you needed a number 6. You got a stopgap in. By the way, the stopgap worked out well. You'll probably get your money back. Maybe you did a bit of profit on it. It's time to do it again. Arne Slot should have walked in. He should have went, "You have no comment. We need a number 6. I'm not asked what you think, and you need to take a look at these players. We need a number 6, and we've identified this lad or these 2 lads. Have you just watched them batter England there for 45 minutes in the Euro final? Yeah, that lad. Do you know what I mean? He's the one that we're getting. But he just dominated the football match against Declan Rice and other players, Jude Bellingham, and he battered them and he ran them all over the park. See that one? Yeah, we're getting him. Do you know what I mean? This is where the lateness comes in. So now you're scratching your head again, and now you know what I mean. If he doesn't come, and now you're fucking looking around, and then the fans are going, "Well, what do you do now? Who do you do now? What do you do? Do you keep Endo?" Not for me. You know what I mean? You're taking a chance on Gravenberch for 5 months. There's a part as well where Liverpool done their best work by being patient, i.e. Virgil van Dijk and stuff like that, by being patient. But then Virgil van Dijk was signing a contract because he's like, "Well, I'm not time." Do you know what I mean? So this has to happen now. We need to give Arne Slot the best chance of winning the Premier League and winning trophies is to get these lads in now. Patience. You've used your patience. You wanted to go to America. You wanted to take a look at all these players. You've used your patience. It's out. The patience is thin with the fans, and it's time to get moving.
Yeah, you're giving this manager a chance, but you're taking that chance away if you're not letting him actually be able to do what he wants to do. Cider's saying Edwards of today is not that of yesterday. We don't know that. I mean, it's transfer windows can be a tricky. I think maybe it was a bit of, we could say that maybe there's a hint of overconfidence when it comes from Edwards and Hughes and thinking, hey, we've gotten deals like this done before. This won't be a problem. We'll talk to them a little bit. We'll put a little squeeze on them and everything will be fine. Not realizing that not every piece of business is going to go the same way every time. And if Zubi is not ready, then Ederson is there, who's packed with more qualities than Zubi.
Maybe that's me. I just don't want this kid.
As long as there is some sort of plan B, and the plan B isn't a stopgap, I think that's something that they know is going on, that they're hopefully already getting the work done on. We don't know that, especially. Good. Juan Armstrong joining us this morning. Zubimendi update. No update other than he likes the mountains that he lives near, and he's just deciding whether or not he wants to come over. It's difficult, and you have Sociedad as well, who also, I guess, in their defense, if they're losing both Marino and Zubimendi, and they want to compete in La Liga, they're going to have a very difficult time replacing those players as well this late in the window. So you can understand there's a little bit of hardball being played on both sides here, just because. Maybe it all just comes down to timing, right? If this Zubimendi deal was done earlier, then Sociedad would have had time to have found the replacement as well, and that's the difficult thing.
But there's a part here, though, fella, and this is this is what we're having a chat about here. If you do it earlier, before Arsenal bid for Mike Menino, they go, well, we can lose one, and then Arsenal do the hardball stuff with Mike Menino and go, well, we want him, and we just lost Zubimendi, no, and let them do the hardball stuff. But no, Liverpool have left this too late now, so now you're in the hardball situation going, well, he's nearly out the door. Do you know what I mean? And we're not losing another one. There's also a part of this. You creating your own hardball. The guy has a buyout clause. Just go in and fucking give him the money. Just go, there you go. You're creating your own headache. That's why you sign players with buyout clauses. You just go, there's the low then. Yeah, any chance? Like, there's no... I don't get it. I'm not... Again, you create your own headaches in this world sometimes, and it comes down to the point of sometimes you're being too smart. Sometimes it's like he's just the right fella at the right price at the right time. It's time to make the plunge. Do you know what I mean? We'd be too smart. We're being too clever. So again, I feel like that all the time. We're seeing now, and I don't know about you, fella, with the transfer window. I think we're starting to see players actually come down to the correct values. I think PSR's kind of lowered values a little bit in terms of players like, well, for example, I think 3 years ago, Pedro Neto still goes for 80 million. 3 years ago.
Probably.
He's going for 50. Do you know what I mean? I keep saying he's the best player outside the top 6. Anthony Gordon for 60 million. A young English winger at 23 who can get those goals and assists goes for 100 million 3-4 years ago. Declan Rice went for 100 million. I think that Declan Rice is in this PSR rules, he'll go for about 60. Do you know what I mean? So we're at that stage of like, we're seeing other signings happening that you go, he'll do a job for us. Like, as you know, I'm the biggest Dewsbury Hall fan in the world. And you go, he can definitely do a job for Liverpool for 30 million. Like, you know what I mean? I always go back to the Shaq signing. I always go back to it, mate, because I think it's a brilliant signing. It's just great business. Just come in, do a job. You know your role in the team. You come in, you're going to have really big impacts on our team, which he did, by the way. and then leave after 2-3 years. Where are those signings anymore? Where are those signings to go and get a lad who's 28, 29 and go, you know what, lad, you played in the league before, you've done this and that. Just come in for 2-3 years, do your bits, like again, Shaqiri, and leave. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder if there's because a lot of decisions now are based so much on analytics, right? Not so much always the visual thing, but a lot of analytics that go behind the decision. So I wonder if it's more so hey, this player at a certain age just doesn't fit the right profile for someone that we want to bring in, even though with how athletes are training, with athletes with the regimens they're on, with what they're eating, with how good science and sports science has gotten, these athletes, these players, they can play for more years now and have a longer prime than what they used to, right? You don't see guys burning out at 29, 30, 31 anymore. You've got guys going to 30, 33, 34 in their prime. So you see Mo the way that he is. He's 32, 33. You see, I mean, Thiago Silva, right? He's had some difficulty here, but playing in the Premier League at 40 and starting for Chelsea, I mean, it just you have that kind of opportunity to have players that are in that age bracket that can still do a difference. That they don't have to be the guy all the time, but they know that when they get their chance, they're going to make the most of it. And that's what you need, right? You just need a few of those guys.
Exactly, and this is my point of like when I've mentioned this before. I would have signed Ryan Sessegnon on a free the day he left Spurs and just sold Costas for 10 million. And just went, there's a backup left back. He's English. He helps with you with the quota. He's 25. Yeah, he's had his injury issues, but you've got time to work on him because he's not going to start all these games. You've got time to work on him. You can tell Ryan Sessegnon, hey, in 2 weeks you're starting that League Cup game. Hey, in 3 weeks you're starting that FA Cup game. In 2 weeks you're starting against fucking Ipswich at home. And you can let the kid build his body back up. But we just don't do those kind of clever bits to business anymore. Which is, again, it comes down to that's my frustration a little bit sometimes, mate, where you're like, just bring a lad in who can just Endo's a good bit of business in my opinion. Like that kind of signing. Just come in for a year. Just help us out, which he did, and he was really good for us, by the way. For 5 months at least. And then go and get the same money back in. It's not like why does everything have to be fucking pen and paper like a fucking gang of football nerds? It's like just kind of look around and go, what do you need right now? And again, the Shaq one helped the loads because we always say we haven't got a right-sided attacker who's left-footed. I've seen him do that for about 6 to 8 times for Liverpool. He just played on the right for Salah. You know what I mean? I just kind of did the little bits and bobs for the role and come off the bench when Salah was eventually taken off. Then he'd just do those little bits for you. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, man. The frustration starts to kick in when you see other players and other clubs doing smart bits of business. I think that's what makes it worse as well, especially because this window and the prices are dropping. Again, it just seems, we all looked at Somerville. That looked like a good bit of business for West Ham. Do you know what I mean? At a good price, mate. Like, that's not outlandish, that price for that age. You know what I mean? That's like a good bit of business. And, hopefully Liverpool can get something done. Listen, you might surprise you've got 3 weeks to go. But I tell you right now, fella, you're taking a fucking chance when you're going into fixtures. Like, that's what my frustration is, mate. If you draw at Ipswich, by the way, which is not outlandish to say, it's their first game back in the Premier League in fucking 15 years, away at R12.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's not outlandish that you can draw against Ipswich or lose to Ipswich. Like, they'll come out, you mate, and they'll be flying in that game. And if they're not, then they shouldn't be in the league. By the way, we went to Luton and drew last year. So these kind of teams, mate, that's their fucking cup final. You're playing Liverpool. If they go and draw to Ipswich, mate, and then you say you beat Brentford, and then you're going into United thinking, fucking hell, you draw to United, you've only won 1 and 3. You know what I mean? And then you're like, and by the way, I've drawn at Old Trafford is not a bad result for Liverpool, ever. I've drawn at Old Trafford is not a bad result. But you are putting that pressure on the new manager then. And you're putting the fucking doubts in the new manager and the doubts in the fans' minds. You know what I mean? I don't want any doubts, mate, going into the season. So I hope Liverpool can get something boxed. If it's just Zubimendi by Ipswich, no problem. But I still think we all agree that we need 2 more after Zubimendi. You know what I mean?
Right. Some sort of a clear decision at center back and then right wing. I mean, or just something up there, right?
We're trying to sign a Georgian goalkeeper that we can loan out for 20 million. Yeah, fucking great bit of business that. Like, my head's going with that one as well. But yeah, I mean, listen, if you're moaning money's tight, you just got 20-odd million for Fabio Carvalho. You're turning down an £8 million bid for Bobby Clark. You've got players there that you want to sell and get rid of. So, you know what I mean? The money's there.
Do you think that kind of, I guess, in line with the conversation about bringing in guys to do that certain job, finding that 26 to 29-year-old kind of thing. Do you feel like there might be an overconfidence in the kids coming up that makes you say, well, hold on, I don't think we need to bring someone in because we've got someone here that can do X or Y? Because, looking at it objectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fabio Carvalho, great bit of business.
Yeah.
10 million for Bobby Clark would be great business. The kid's only played 20 games for us. If he ends up being world class, you hold your head up high and say, he came through the academy, but you don't expect that from him because you've got guys like Moore, and you've got guys like Bicetic. Like, as fans of this club, we will always see them as better than what they are because of where they came through. But
yeah,
wouldn't it just be great business to make money off of them now?
That's what they're doing with Fabio Carvalho, which is great business. The Bobby Clark one's interesting. I do find that mad. I actually still think that Bobby Clark could be a part of an Anthony Gordon deal because he is from Newcastle. He came through Newcastle. His dad's a Newcastle legend. And I could see that happening a little bit if Anthony Gordon deal gets resurrected. A lot of these players, I say this all the time, and I've said this on previous podcasts before. When we won the League Cup with all these players, and I was like, these players are probably going to play for Liverpool ever again. Like, that's just football. Like, Liverpool are going to get really good bids for them. Tyler Morton's another one. Liverpool will sell him by the end of the window. I think we all agree with this. Well, he'll probably go and those type of things because they go out and improve themselves, and then Liverpool cash in. And that's, by the way, the academy has to pay for its way somewhere. It has to pay for itself. I say this all the time about the academy, right? Everyone gets fucking confused what an academy's for. You think you're just there to get all these players to come into your first team? It's not. It's not. It's there to make money. And every 5 or so years, it will produce a talent. For example, a Curtis Jones, a Jarrell Kwanzaa. By the way, Jarrell Kwanzaa is the first good centre-half we've produced since Jamie Carragher. Right? We haven't produced a fucking unbelievable one since. That's what your academy is for. The rest of it has to pay for itself. You have to pay for your academy, which I'm assuming the running cost is probably between 15 and 20 million a year, or whatever it is, to run an academy for under sixes, including all the food and shit. You have to pay. That's why Ryan Brewster went for great money. Like, it has to pay. And then Nico Williams and players like that, and fucking Brad Smith and Jordan Ibe, and these lads who was just on the precipice of your first team, but then get sold. And everyone goes, what are we doing? With this kid, he looks really good. Yeah, he's just not good enough for Liverpool. By the way, there's only about 40 players in the world who are good enough for Liverpool. There's not many, because we got them. I wouldn't take another goalkeeper in the world. I wouldn't take another centre half, and I wouldn't take another right winger in the world. I also wouldn't take another right back or left back. So you're at that stage where there's only so many who can improve you. Now these kids have come in. They've made a big difference. By the way, played really well at Wembley, which helps a lot. In James McConnell and Bobby Clark and players like that. It's time. That's when you do sell these players. I think we all knew. I think if fans were naively thought that these young kids were going to come in and start games for Liverpool. You're massively incorrect. You're massively incorrect.
Huge disconnect there between.
Oh, mate.
I think sometimes you try and think of it, or some of these fans are thinking of it from a sort of video game perspective where, I can keep all these players on this team. I can have my A squad and my B squad, just simulate the seasons and everything's going to be fine. Like these guys can, it's just football, no big deal. But it doesn't work like that. And especially when there's money involved, when there's actually, people have to, the club provides jobs to a lot of players in Liverpool, right? You have to make sure that you can do something sustainable to allow those people to keep these jobs as well. You can't have a situation like we saw with United, right, where they had to lay off, 250 workers, and then they go out and spend 100+ million in the transfer window. Like that kind of shit is mind-boggling, right? And so, so I guess it's frustrating because we're talking about just spending that extra 5-10 million, whatever it is, to get the guy you want, but then turn around and also be able to be sensible and sustainable. So there's always that thin line of balance. But based on what you've spent in the past 10 years versus what the outgoings were, you feel like that there is enough leeway there to be able to spend that extra 5-10. And a lot of the times, if that can come from the academy, great. That's kind of we always think this guy is going to be the next great big thing, and 9 out of 10 times he doesn't get to play for Liverpool ever again. Like you said, in the cup final, I think most of us were aware that we wouldn't see many of those guys, and maybe there was a false sense of of thinking that is going to. This was the next starting 11 that you'll see in the next 5-6 years. You'll see these guys here, but they're not going to be sitting around for 5-6 years, and the club doesn't want them to sit around for 5-6 years because they're going to lose money on it. So yeah, and speaking of money, real quick plug here. If you guys haven't yet, please. Why isn't this going through? This is going through. Perfect.
Yeah.
The link to the GoFundMe is in the comments, as well as the link to the auction for the Jamie Carragher Foundation. So please, if you haven't yet, go on. Maybe if you've got a couple dollars to spare, just hit one of those links and do what you can. And we appreciate you guys supporting us. I guess. Last thing to touch on, I suppose, preseason matches. Did you watch both of them? Did you have anything you took away from either one of them that you are excited about, that you're worried about? It's the last final tune-up before the season, right? The last look before Ipswich. And is there anything besides the whole six situation that you're thinking we need to take a look at?
Not really. No, I think it's more. Gravenberch looked really good, which is nice to see. He looked really good, and maybe that's a role for him in the future. I'm not sure. In a double pivot at least. So he looked really good, and really pleased with Diaz's finishing. Our biggest criticism is Luis Diaz. He has no end product, and that was a good bit of end product. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm super pleased with that. Josh is Jota. I think if he stays fit for 30 Premier League games, Liverpool win the league. That's my opinion. And my God, if you keep him fit, Jesus, it's like, and then you've seen, just the players just be like themselves. Trent's pass for Jota was a joke. It just gets overlooked all the time because we're so used to seeing it. I didn't watch the last Palmas game, to be fair. I've seen a little bit of highlights, but I didn't watch it. I just seen a tweet saying, Nunes scored, but he's offside, and I thought that was quite funny. You know what I mean? The more things change and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean. Excited for the season, brother. I am excited after seeing them. I am excited with this. I thought they were a lot more. The shape was a lot more higher up the field than what I was used to with the previous games. I thought they were just like, we're just going to bully these and just. And they were just camping at half and like 40 yards, 50 yards out, and we had like 8 men, 40 yards out. I.e., just trusting the pace, going beyond if you get a ball over the top or something like that. And I thought that was quite interesting. I thought that was quite new. It's more swallowing them there, because I thought it was going to be a lot more when this manager came in, and it was a lot more of like, we're going to kill them with passing and stuff. I thought it was going to be more like City with like the 4 centre halves, and they'll just pass the ball through you. No, we were still squeezing them very hard at the field and then doing the passing. You've got to be really good in tight spaces because you're going to have players all over you. So you've got to be. That's why I think a Curtis Jones could be really helpful for them, and Harvey Elliott and players like that, because they are really good like that. So I thought that was interesting as well. That was something a bit different. So the one thing I kind of took out of as well, mate, I don't know about your things. What did Seville get out of that game? Do you want, Joe, a week before your La Liga season starts, do you want to just come to Anfield, not touch the ball and get battled? Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. That sounds like a lovely plan and a lovely way to start my season. I don't know how much to get paid to do this. You know what I mean? But my God, fella, if I'm a manager of a team, I go, no, I don't want to go to Anfield and not touch the ball. I want to go down to play some bum in La Liga 2 or something and batter them. You know what I mean? But
it's all part of the Anfield experience. That's what I wanted to get out of it. I really enjoyed. I think there were moments that we've seen throughout preseason where, yes, there's a lot of these this possession based these triangles that they're working that kind of, I feel like, lull the opposing team in this sense of, all right, they're going to be just playing around us a bit, and then you hit them with the long ball. Like we've seen 2 goals specifically from the keeper, whether it was from Keller or from Ali, where after a good 5-6 minutes of kind of just playing within those triangles, playing in the back, then you launch one up and you have either a Jota or a Salah that takes that down, 1 touch to Elliott, I think it was in the Arsenal game, and then 1 touch here yesterday. Can't remember exactly, to Szoboszlai, yep, and 1 pass and they're through. So I do like that, and I find that interesting. I think ultimately teams, they will understand how to play against that at some point. So you can't always get away with lulling you in a sense of security for 5-6 minutes and then hitting one over the top and not expecting that the other team isn't expecting that as well. But there are good signs, like you said. Diaz in his finishing, the one in that corner was great. Maybe it's the hair. Every once in a while you see someone change something up and it works out for the best. But yeah, I think overall I'm really curious about what the actual 11 will be going into
Shame.
Ipswich, because
Shame.
at this point, I don't think, even if Zubamendi comes by Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't think there's enough time to put him in. I think we're past that. So I feel like Elliott had a fantastic preseason. I feel like Jones had a pretty good preseason. So seeing them start against Las Palmas instead was a bit interesting. I don't know if that was just more of a, hey, like, you guys have had a great preseason and we want you kind of working around these guys who haven't had as much time to maybe like to be in that, to show them what the system's all about kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Or was it more, they're actually my second choice as far as who's going to be starting the midfield?
I don't think it's that, fella. I just think it's more the first part that you've said. Yeah. Like, that these lads don't understand the formation, don't understand the way I want to play, but you guys do. Yeah. And I can trust you guys to get that word across. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm a big fan of, I've said this again on previous podcasts, that I'm a big fan of Darwin not starting the first 6 games, and not just because I don't like him. It's more, I don't want to just feed into the Sharks. Like, you know what I mean? You've had Jota there and Salah for full pre-season, basically. And I don't want to feed him into something that I think you're throwing to the wolves a little bit. You know what I mean? I think he should be able to ease his way into the season, because you have got a full fit Jota and a Salah and stuff like that, and Diaz looks good and that kind of stuff. So I just think it's a bit more, because I expect Robertson to play against Ipswich, and he played in the second game. Yeah. So I just do think there's like a little bit of like, you guys know what you're doing, you guys know what I want. Can you get me through this game? Basically, just to get the fitness up of the other lads. You know what I mean? What do you think he does in midfield? What do you think his midfield 3 is going to be?
McAllister, Soboslai, and Gravenberch. Honestly,
I don't think he does McAllister. I think he do Jones with Gravenberch and Soboslai. Really? I just think McAllister looked a bit leggy, which, by the way, is understandable. He's played some fucking football, that lad. Yeah. He's won the World Cup and the Copa America back to back here. You know what I mean? So it's like, I do feel like it's a bit more. You know what I mean? So I do think he might start those 3, or maybe even Elliott. But I was a big fan in the game, by the way, of like the Diaz goal, the tapping, where Szoboszlai makes that forward run behind. Salah's play, by the way, makes a pin the defender, proper old school striker play, pin the defender and play the ball in behind for him, was excellent. Like, if Salah hasn't got that pace anymore, which people believe he hasn't, I still think he's got it. If you believe he hasn't got that pace, that's brilliant play. Like, that's a clever footballer. Because, my God, he's the strongest kid in the world, Mo Salah. So if you can pin a centre half and then allow these runners to, you know what I mean? It could be a massive asset for us as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pace that's potentially on those wings with Diaz. Even going through the middle, like, Soboslai's got great pace as well. Football Flashback joining us this morning. We are back already. Not the guys that did the 24 hours, but we are back. I'm not sure about this. We'll have to maybe ask Timochin. I don't think it was on purpose, obviously. So, yeah, we might have to check that out. And then I guess final thoughts here as we wrap up this morning show. Ryan says, I think left back may be our biggest unaddressed issue. What say you?
I'm okay with it right now. Yeah, I'm okay with it right now. But if I think it's like the 6th thing to worry about on the list. Well, I think we have other things to take care of first. I think Robertson, probably from about February onwards, got his form back, March onwards. I thought towards the end of last season, I thought he played really well. I thought he had a sticky start, he gets injured, and he comes back and plays pretty well. So I have full faith in Robertson still, but I think in 12 to 18 months, we still probably need to start to take a look at it. The Costas thing, if he's going to stay, it looks like he's going to stay, then that's fine. You know what you're getting out of Costas right now? You're getting an average left back who will do average things for you, which is, by the way, completely fine. Because that's the way he is, not this footballer that he is. That's completely fine. But yeah, Robertson probably has 18. But again, I did say this yesterday about the Seville game, fella. It looks like he can pick and choose his moments. If you're going to get a lot more forward runners in behind the strikers, he can pick and choose your moments to go forward. You know what I mean? Because they'll provide width as well. Yeah. So Szoboszlai will provide you some width on that side, or whoever that is, by the way. If they're going to provide a bit more width and going to go run on in behind anyway, he can pick and choose. He doesn't need to be this bombing, marauding left back who has to make forward runs every 40 seconds. He can just pick and choose his moments when to go forward to help out and double up on the numbers. So, yeah, I do think we can get through Robertson with this new formation. I think that'll help him massively.
Yeah, there was a show a couple weeks ago where I felt like this formation, if this was Robbo of of 2017 and 2020, he would have
some fun, wouldn't he?
I mean, he had fantastic seasons already, but he'd have even more fun. The competition between him and Trent, as far as assists go, they could have been up by about 10-15%, I'm sure. Ryan saying it could become a nightmare, especially for Sal Gomez, which we shouldn't. We can play the what if game. Hopefully, if there is a bit of business as far as selling someone from, like, and we're not talking about selling an academy player because they're going to have a big impact on the team this year so much. Hopefully, if we do see an outgoing from someone who is part of the plans and part of the first 15, you could say, that we see some sort of response to that in terms of the incomings. But that will hopefully, maybe we'll talk about on Wednesday, maybe some outgoings or incomings. Who knows? We might still have Zubamendi dreaming about mountains. But until then, Kazi, it was a pleasure being on this morning with you. Any plans for the Monday morning? What does a Monday usually look like for Kazi?
I go to work now, fella. I work from home, so I'm quite lucky that I work from home, kind of deal. So I go to work, and then I am actually going to go to the cinema tonight for the first time since my 3-year-old was born. We're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. We used to go to the cinema all the time, me and the wife. Yeah. And we just never been together anymore. Like, I've dropped it off on her own. Because that's the stage in the relationship with that. She just wants to go to the cinema on her own and not talk to anyone for 2.5 hours. Which is completely fine. It probably says more about me than her. But you know what I mean? But
and you're taking the 3-year-old to see Deadpool, right?
No, the mother-in-law's taking that one, yeah. That's it. I don't know if we can sneak it in, but yeah, so I'm going to go to the cinema tonight for the first time, so we're excited. What are your plans today, my friend? Are you going to be refreshing Twitter to see about Zubamendi? Is that your plan?
I can't hit the F5 all day. It is a day off before I go back into work tomorrow after a 10-day vacation, so I'm going to try and sit back.
10 days? Ooh.
Yeah, I was gone for a bit, so it'll be a nice going back, I guess. But yeah, that'll be it. Nothing too crazy, just some grocery shopping, and that's pretty much it.
But, that's the life, the high life.
Yeah, that's
the exciting life.
That's what we get excited for these days. But
it is, isn't it? It is.
From all of us here at American Scouser, again, thank you so much for anyone who has tuned in today, and thank you so much for anyone who was part of yesterday. Any of our sponsors, any of our donations, any of our auctions, we do appreciate immensely. We hope to see you guys on Wednesday. We hope to see you some fun, brand new news, whether it is Zubamendi, whether it is whoever, as long as there's something to talk about before Ipswich, besides Ipswich, that will be fun. But from all of us here, thank you guys again, and have a great Monday.
Here you go.